Hello, and welcome to episode 7, part 1 of Unfettered. It has been a bajillion years. I cannot tell you how good it felt to listen to that starting music again. Crispy, how you doing?
I'm doing good.
It's been
A
like...
different day than usual.
yeah. And just a heads up for anyone watching, and even watching on YouTube, this is going to be a shorter episode tonight. But since it's been so long and we again have scheduling conflicts this weekend, we wanted to get an episode out and actually play some D&D.
Nah.
No. Yeah. Yes. Please. I need this, okay?
Jeez.
Yep, for only having one D&D campaign.
Yeah. Yes. My only game. Top Hat, how have you been?
Decent, you know. In my free time, I'm running a beginner game.
I hate you and your multiple campaigns.
Yeah. Life is happening. It's been almost a month.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things that happen in a month. Yeah. Life.
Good shit. Yeah, life happened. I went to the dentist today, and that was pretty miserable, not gonna lie. Usually I'm okay with dentists and going to the dentist. It's like, it's uncomfortable, but it's necessary, so who cares? But I don't know. I maybe my dentist was mad at me or something, like, and he didn't want to talk about what was upsetting him, but I swear he stabbed my gums so much. And like, it's one thing to be all like, I am a dentist, I need to poke around in your mouth and pull at things, that's fine. But when you're like, when you're taking the pointy end of a metal tool and just like jamming it into my gums, I have a hard time believing that's just part of the diagnostic procedure.
Sure it is. Checking your pain response.
Yeah, there was actually one point where like it was surprising enough and painful enough that I like jumped a little bit. So yeah, that was my fun experience for today. That and I'm trying out Hello Fresh this week and next week. Not sponsored, although hey, hit me up. And I made my first thing from them today, and it was kind of really nice to just like not have to go to the grocery store and pick things out or bother with any of that. Just like have everything show up and be like, now I can do all the fun parts of cooking, like the eating things. So that was cool. Yeah. And other than that, nothing really exciting has happened in my life, except further streaming. I don't remember if I had done my first speed run since the last time we played, or if that was before the last time we played, but I've been speed running, which is a lot of fun, and playing Hearthstone, and that's also fun. And I think that's everything I have to say. So, let's, maybe, probably, knowing you guys,
I'll find a way to kill some shit. Don't worry. Viewers, I got you covered.
Top Hat is on it. Yeah, let's jump straight into it. It's been, I think, 2 months? 3 months? 3 months. It's been 90 days since we last saw Constance and Albert, but we're going to see a little bit of what they were up to in those 90 days before we see where they want to go from there. So let's start off with let's start off with Albert.
Oh, of course. Picking on me. I see how it is.
Absolutely.
Right. Now I have to remember what happened in the last 90 days.
It's okay. I've got it all listed out here.
Okay, it was a lot of letter writing, if I remember correctly.
There was a lot of going and hanging out with people. So we see a sort of montage, maybe set to oh god, what is that song? Ain't No Rest for the Wicked by Cage the Elephant. We see this montage of like Kelly and Roderick hard at work on like these mechanical soldiers that the party uncovered last time. And then like working oolite into a set of blades for Crispy and or Top Hat or for Albert and Constance. We see Mabel doing research as usual. You know, maybe a couple conversations with Constance, and then we see Gamses and Li Fo on like one of the small craft. We see a series of like montage shots of the two of them like smashing into Imperial barracks and lighting shit on fire and then like running away. We see like a failed attempt or two as they like go to like bust down a door and then there are like 100 soldiers inside and then we see them comically trying to escape, like a small armada chasing after them. And then we come to Albert, and we see him in a couple places. We see him in like some taverns and sanctuary talking to people, and then probably talking to a couple store owners, like entrepreneurs.
But in like a hello, my constituents.
Yeah.
You heard the word of Albert Vessinger and Constance Stormheart.
Yeah, we see him shaking a lot of hands, and like puffing out his chest and like looking proper Vessinger-ish. And then like the music quiets down, and we come into a scene with Albert hanging out at the Traveler's Lodge, here in Sanctuary, and he's got like a small group of travelers, of younger travelers, like probably initiates or early converts, or recent converts rather, gathered around him listening to what he's saying. So, Albert, what are you talking about?
Oh, yes. My first set of ruins. Now, this was rather a spectacular adventure. I would talk about the people who went with me, but they're all dead or old now. It was a wonderful adventure. The temple was actually situated on a flying island, floating between Mulland and Maradoon, which is not very common amongst temples. It was a shock that we were able to find it. None of our equipment functioned properly. I happened to give a little bit of an insight into its location. We get onto this thing, and it was a dreadful number of traps and misadventures and all sorts of things. At the end of it, though, there was this big silvery plate. We never figured out what the silvery plate did at the time, but it was absolutely mystical. The way the light refracted off of it was not possible.
Like this whole group is like they're starting to sort of like involuntarily lean in as they're becoming more and more engrossed in Albert's story.
Do I have to tell more? Are you kidding me?
Yeah, keep going. You're doing great.
Silvery mirrors. Silvery mirror. A mirror dish. And at first we had no idea what to do with it. At first sight, we couldn't discern the use of it. But, God, what was his name? O'Brien. No, it wasn't O'Brien. I'm getting that mixed with someone else. Got the name. Oh, yes, Beyond. He was a strange fellow, kind of quirky, and he pulled at the edge of the mirror piece, and it shifted, and the sunlight reflected off of it, reflecting onto another piece of ruins, and an entire new area excavated itself from the floor. Absolutely incredible. The sorts of artifacts we found down there are incredible. Pots, vases, small jewelry. Fascinating.
And you hear Toledo's voice pick up from the other side of the room. Maybe we see like Albert's eyes roll a little bit.
Yep.
How many of those items were cursed, Albert? And how many of your friends survived? I have a hard time remembering.
Well, funny how your memory tends to act up a little bit. If I remember correctly, the last job that I was there for you, wasn't that a complete flop? All of your crew died?
Yes, I seem to remember it was based on information you had gathered.
Information of the location. You were supposed to figure out what was there.
Well, that's true, and had we actually had a well-researched background, we likely would have kept everyone alive. But you can't deny, looking at your track record, that people who go with you tend to end up dead. And he's like, in saying this, he's clearly shifted away from addressing you into talking to these recruits. And, you know, it truly is a shame. Even your friends from back in your Imperial days have a tendency to drop, don't they?
Oh, funny how that would be. Working in dangerous situations tends to get you killed.
How dangerous was Dun Simic several months ago? I have a hard time remembering, as you have pointed out yourself.
Very funny, Toledo. I see you haven't lost your edge over the years. How old were you again?
Old enough not to die.
I think perhaps a little bit of cobwebs have started to creep onto your track record. I can't seem to remember anything you've done recently. Or have you done anything recently?
Oh, I have. And he looks around at the recruits, and the recruits, like, seem to be a little uncomfortable now. But they're the kind of stories you don't tell people outside the organization. If you'll excuse me.
By all means.
Yeah, until he heads out, giving you sort of like a wink on his way. And then, you know, we fade out from that scene, and we've got like a little date at the bottom edge, probably written some script typeface letting us know when it is, and at this point we're probably a month and a half into the repairs, and we pan up on Constance hanging out in some tavern somewhere in Sanctuary. And my question to you, Top Hat, is as Constance is asking around, is she doing so as Constance Stormheart, clearly being like, hey, you know who I am, address me as Constance, or is she trying to collect some of this information on the down low?
Well, there's the smart decision, and then there's the decision Constance makes. So she is all about who she is.
Okay, so we see Constance, like, maybe you've got, like, a boot up on the table, you're, like, leaning on the back two legs of your chair.
I think it's gonna be like, so I've heard you know how or where to find my old captain. And the camera would, like, pan around, and there's, like, 3 pirate thugs tied to their chairs.
They all, like, look around at each other. Posh boy, I heard he's been stirring things up round here.
Old captain, not new captain?
They look at each other.
Puff boy?
No, posh boy is what he called you. Captain Wake?
Yeah.
I ain't heard of her in quite some time. Years, really. The other two, like, nod vigorously.
Well, what did you hear those years ago? Start like cleaning my finger with a knife.
Heard she was writing settlements in small towns in Mulland, off the northern coast.
Northern coast.
That must have been shortly after you were in prison, right? Right?
Well, yeah.
Yeah. Round that time.
Okay, yeah. Then I jumped off the ship. They probably would have gone there. Okay. So, like, turn to the next guy. What did you hear?
Well, I'm not. I don't. Sorry, he doesn't do any hand gestures because he's tied up. You know, I don't. I try to keep to myself mostly. You know, I'm not much of an ear to the ground kind of. Right. Well, the first mate. McKellar. You know it. You know him.
Yeah.
He came back in I don't know 587 maybe 4 years ago, but he didn't come back with nobody. Came back all on his own, drank himself right to death.
Well, that's promising.
Yeah,
Where'd they bury him?
he was given a sky burial, tossed him off the docks.
Well, there goes the idea of questioning the corpse. All right.
No one. I mean, he didn't really tell anyone where he was staying, so his stuff's still around somewhere, probably.
Well.
But
Good job. I just cut the rope. You're free. Turn to the last person.
Oh, thank the divine. Is the first guy still tied up?
Yep.
He just he looks at the first guy, shrugs, and then leaves.
Yeah, so I just turn to whoever else is at the table, like, anyone else?
I think a young woman, probably in her late teens, sort of raises her hand from where it's tied to the arm of the chair. The Leviathan's descent. That was Wake's ship, right? She looks around at the others. And it was all black. Yeah?
Oh yeah. It was beauty.
Well, I've been listening around in the taverns, what with merchants, shippers coming through. Been listening to what the sailors have to say. There's some rumors that people have been seeing a ship matching that description in the storms between Mulland and the Dragon Place.
Now, that is interesting. I don't know if it's true yet. I'd just glare at her.
I mean, that's just what I've heard. People know better than to sail into the storms out there. What with them being so fierce, but I sort of just wrote it off as people seeing things.
Holy shit.
But
well, what's our old tactic? Flying in a storm.
She shrugs.
Well, okay, I guess,
Can I go?
Take the knife. I free the first person.
She just watches him leave.
I'm back. Sorry.
Thanks, Chris.
Just sit there for a second. Well. Just sit there and I try to remember if I have another thing I need.
You hear a chair behind you scoot away from a table and heavy footsteps. Clump, clump, clump. And a hook. We get this camera shot. We see Constance with darkness behind her. This huge shape looming behind her. and a hook comes out of the darkness and slams into the table, like just to the side of her. Ye be looking for a demon ship.
Sure, yeah.
And like somebody like shifts the lantern on the table to the side a little bit, and we see this like very large half orc who's missing an eye, but has like this really long scraggly beard, clearly like in his twilight years. Well, the sky fishers have been telling tales these past years of a blackened demon ship possessed by a storm spirit, taking fishers foolish enough to go out on a stormy day. If you're looking for a ship in a storm, and the hook like wrenches itself out of the wood of the table, and they wave it in Constance's face. You're looking for demons. They'll take your soul.
That'll be interesting. I think at that point I'm like, you earned her freedom, and I just cut the ropes, not even like looking, just like waving the sword. And, like a few times, like goes close to her face once or twice, and then eventually cuts the rope.
Yeah, she like rubs her wrists. We see Zaire in the background walk over and like be like, it is okay, you can leave now.
I think at this point, like I also look at this like fisherman like, do you need a job on a crew?
Oh, my sailing days are long behind me. But the stories I could tell.
Like,
Scrapes a chair over and sits down. Now, and just talks straight over you. Now. It was 50 years ago on a summer's day. There was a beautiful woman. Or was it a man? I don't remember. Anyway, there was this beautiful person out washing something. And then I think we fade out. And then we fade back to Albert, in one of the nicer buildings we've seen in Sanctuary. Like the Traveler's Lodge is pretty good. They like actually paid masons and carpenters, and architects to make that place.
Yeah.
But of the shitty I don't know what I'm doing buildings that most of the rest of Sanctuary is made up of, this one's okay, and it's filled with bookcases of varying sizes and colors, laden with books also of various sizes and colors, and we see Albert flipping through a very large sort of like dusty tome. It's got like tattered edges on the pages.
Yeah.
And there's a stack of similar books next to him, probably some by the same author or something, with a couple like sheets of scrap paper sticking out as bookmarks. And yeah, we see a woman, probably like just a fairly average height, average build woman with long black hair and a purple sort of like simple dress approach as he's reading this book. Hammond's theories on the plains.
Yes, well, we could all do some catching up on our school readings, can't we? I'm surprised you still have this book. Pretty sure half of it's outlawed.
That it is. Precisely why it's such an interesting read. And which school did you go to where this is your catch-up reading?
Oh, my apologies. I must have caught a slight bit of a cough. Yeah, the college at Illand.
Ah, yes. Although, last I checked, the focus there was more arcanomancy and less study of the planes.
Well, it's amazing the kinds of things you can find in a library.
It is. And she looks you dead in the eyes and gives you like this somewhat predatory smile. She holds out a hand, sort of not daintily, right? It's not a fragile offer of a hand, but it's very specific. You know, she doesn't move further than she needs to. Very well controlled.
Yeah, Albert responds in turn. My apologies. Albert Vessinger.
Lilith.
I'm sorry I didn't catch that.
Lilith.
Ah.
If you're looking into planar connections, she steps away from you for a moment, and you see her hand disappear down a row of shelves, and there's a small glow that you catch along the hem of her dress, and the hand comes back with a couple small books. You should check these.
Thank you. I appreciate the recommendation. And I reach out. And
Yeah. They're like, one of them is a book on occult rituals, and then there's a book that's just a gathering of crime reports from Mulland. I think you'll find them very interesting, Captain. She nods.
Well, I'm glad that you think I'm some kind of officer, but I'm afraid I put those days long behind me.
Of course. Now, and she'll like bow a little bit and step away.
Mages.
A man with like suspenders and like the hipster beard and these like perfectly round spectacles steps around some bookshelves. You can't just stay here all day, sir. If you're going to buy something, buy something.
Do you sell, do you have a cafe?
No, but there's one next door.
Right. Well, I think I'll take these. And I kind of stack the other books on top of the 3 other books that I've got there.
Very well. Bring them with. And we'll fade out on that scene. And I think when we come back, I think we have now covered actually all of your guys' stuff, which is good, except some training scenes which are boring. And we'll cut back to it says at the bottom present day, and
yes, the town of present day.
present day sanctuary. We see Constance. We see Constance walking to Lisbeth's whatchamacallit, shipwright, the place where she makes ships, shipyard. There we go. And is Albert there?
Oh, what with Constance?
With Constance, yeah, because she's going to go check up on the ship, Stormsinger.
That would be the case.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Oh, I hope you've been productive, Constance.
Oh yeah, of course. I didn't leave town for a while to go rob Mulland.
Well, that counts as productive. We are pirates these days, after all.
Yeah. That.
Well, I found that spending time in libraries is actually worth something. Good thought.
I remember my days in the library. It was boring. I just keep walking.
Building here.
Yeah, this one.
What does it
Yeah,
look
so
like?
you're at this large, like by large I mean truly enormous, uh, warehouse with these large double doors, and the doors are actually open a crack so that people can walk in and out. And Lisbeth Spruce, the shipwright that you met previously, steps outside. Oh, you have impeccable timing, Constance, and this, I assume, is your captain?
Yes. You may call me Vessinger, Albert Vessinger. It's a pleasure. You're Lisbeth, correct?
I am indeed. Your reputation precedes you, though I hear you have turned over a new leaf.
Quite a few quite a few leaves, really.
Well, I hope you can keep this one out of trouble, because from what I hear, she's quite the handful.
Oh, if anyone could.
No one can. I just walk in.
Well, I hope you're ready to see what is, frankly, one of the best ships I've ever made, because she steps inside and gestures to someone to open up the doors, and we got this shot where we're looking at the warehouse from outside as the doors slowly open, and the light floods in to reveal this large. What did you make? It was a galleon, right?
Yes.
It's the one below the Man of War.
Yeah. So it's this galleon with its its three masts, and a full gun deck. What is it? All black like the Leviathan's Descent, or what does it look like? Top
I
hat?
think it'd be like gray and stormy. So like kind of in a utilitarian sense of it, like it would blend into the clouds of the aether, but also just kind of like aesthetically. You can go ahead and describe something if you'd like, Brian. Whoops.
It may be slightly marked with do you know how we have magnetic paint where you put like little shards of metal in your paint and then you can put magnets on the wall?
Yeah.
So there's little shards of oolite in it.
So it like glitters a little bit.
No. So it's like, it just looks normal, but if you cast detect magic, there's tentacles coming up the bottom and like wrapping around it.
Nice. It's like blacklight paint, but for magical sight. That's cool. That's really dope. Yeah, I think maybe Lisbeth has on hand like an oolite glass lens that she can use for you to look at to like see what it looks like and get a sense.
Yeah.
And like this thing begins sort of like the engine is already spun up, and she's like, if you'd like to take it out.
Oh boy. And I think like Constance just saying that, and then she just you see the crack of lightning, and she's just on the ship.
Oh, and she rummages around in like a toolbox and pulls out a bottle of champagne. It's tradition, and she tosses it up to you.
Albert's probably gonna like fly up, grab this champagne midair, and like lands steadily on the deck.
Give it a good smash. Say your prayers or whatever, and divine, damn it, get this thing moving.
All right.
I think we need more crew.
Nope. Constance is determined.
All right.
Can't I cast Gust of Wind?
And that one along the starboard. No.
Yeah, there are these people that are just like carpenters. Like they're there to help build the thing, and they're like, okay.
It's like, we're like itching it. We're like, no. We got like poles out and pushing ourselves away from the wall.
Yeah, and so we see the ship awkwardly fly out over the street, and passers-by look up and on, like stop what they're doing to see this massive gray ship. Like typically ships aren't painted all over, and also typically not gray, so it stands out already. But just seeing Albert and Constance, people that they've been hearing a lot about as the two of you cause trouble around town, and prior to that, just throughout Hersagul, seeing these two people at the head of this brand spanking new ship, bristling with guns, there's an energy in the air as people discuss what sort of things, like what they think this symbolizes, as far as the history of the Empire moving forward.
Man, can you wait till 50 years in the future and people are talking about us and saying, who the fuck built that crazy bitch of shit?
A lot of things can change in 50 years.
Oh.
Well, I hope this thing will last long enough for us to use it. We should get a real crew. And you see Albert pull out his what do you call it?
Sending stone?
Sending stone, and be like, and put out a call for another ship to come along with some crew members. Just kind of like load off the carpenters.
Yeah, I think you call in, and Mabel picks up, and you can hear like some yelling faintly in the background. She's like, yes, Captain, right away. I will relay the orders. We'll be over there.
Make it a show of force. Get all the ships.
Okay. Yes.
We're setting sail today. It's time for some mischief.
You hear someone shout. Actually, I think you hear Kelly just shout, "Fine!" and then a door slam, and you hear boots like stomping across the deck, and then the typical if you've ever heard someone hand off a telephone, it's that sound. As she clearly like pulls the sending stone out of Mabel's hand. What do you want, Captain?
All right, Kelly. Tell the crew that we're getting ready to we're getting ready to set sail. Destination? I looked at Constance.
You're not gonna like this answer.
You're not going to like this answer.
I didn't think I would. All right, maggots. And she hangs up.
I'm like, so yeah, about that. How do you feel about dragons? I mean, this is just, rough draft, but I do owe a favor for the ship.
Is it a favor that has an end?
Yeah. Once we find Leviathan's descent, or some hint that it's around. We can look around Sanctuary. There's a few things. We don't have to leave right away. We can get our crew in order and, get enough crew to pilot.
We've been.
You're gonna want food because you're 4 days from the end of the month, or maybe 3 days.
Lots of food. We need to buy lots.
I think the idea is prior to this we were making preparations for all this shit.
Yeah.
So it's like we're setting sail. We've got the new ship. We're gonna get the crew on it and just
I mean, you had 90 days, so it's safe to assume.
Yeah.
I don't know, Quartermaster. Where is all that food?
I assume you have enough crew to fill up the crew for all the ships.
Yeah, and probably extra.
So I think there was a good amount of recruiting that happened there, and we also have a whole squad of drones now.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, because you have the animated armors.
I think we have an entire ship that is crewed by machines.
Probably, because you got how many armors was that?
22? 26?
22 sounds right.
Yeah.
Let me just double check. Downtime. Roderick. Yeah, Roderick and Kelly each refurbished 11, so you have 22.
Yeah, so that's enough to pilot the one of the ships.
Yeah.
Probably Lord Ostenwald's Revenge.
For the soldiers, I thought we were gonna put them all on the same ship.
Yeah. So if I remember correctly, you were going to put all or most of them on Lord Ostenwald's Revenge along with Mabel.
Yeah,
because that's
And-
sort of your civilian ship at the moment.
and I think we were also going to throw
The whole
Lefo on
point
it.
is that, we're gonna have Lefo and his robot squad.
Yeah.
And they're on. So it's there is the weak little support ship, and then they try to board it, and it's full of robots.
Yeah.
So like all the
All right,
flesh
detect
and bone
life.
crew-
I only detect one person on the ship. It must be the captain. Show up, just robots. Shit.
robots and a robo paladin. Yeah.
Okay. And then you still have the cog that needs someone. I assume we're gonna have Albert captaining the Stormsinger.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm on the Stormsinger. Constance is probably on the Black Sheep
Yep.
or the Pleasure Palace. Probably the Black Sheep because that's the real
Black Sheep.
ship.
Pleasure Palace is more our supply ship now.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So you're on the Black Sheep. I'm
had
on the
a-
Stormsinger.
Wonderful idea of what we should do with it.
I think-
That's not a role that is currently covered because it's a non-combat role.
Yeah.
Also, the Black Sheep can only carry 2 people.
Yeah, so it's going to be me and then
Yeah.
person who pilots it once I jump off the ship.
So maybe not Gamzees.
Probably not Gamzees. Gamzees probably gonna. Oh, it's so
I
hard.
think Gamzees should be in the Stormsinger with me.
Well, you still have so
And
was
the
it
cog.
Cog, Pleasure Palace, and Black Sheep need
Oh yeah.
specific captains. And people you have available are the Odares, Zaire, and Gamzees.
Okay. Right. I was having Gamzees be my second in command. So
Zaire.
what? Be my not to pilot a ship? Are you saying?
You were talking about getting Zaire to be your second command constantly.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
So then the other ones are spread across those ships. Do we want to put Roderick or Kelly on the Pleasure Palace?
Uh,
I think Kelly's a better captain.
I mean,
Yeah.
yes, categorically.
Yeah.
She has history and experience with it.
Yeah.
So to an extent.
so I guess Gamzees is in charge of the cog.
Well, we'd want to put. So Lefo could probably pilot Lord Ostenwald's Revenge. Lefo or maybe.
Yeah,
or
Lefo's
Lefo, I
on.
don't think
Okay,
Lefo
so
counts.
Lefo's on Lord Ostenwald's. Here's what we're doing, and then what my recommendation is. Lord Ostenwald's has Lefo. Stormsinger has Albert.
Yeah.
Black Sheep currently has Constance, but needs an extra. So what I'd recommend is putting Kelly, because she has experience, on the cog,
The cog. And then
because she can
having
command the
Roderick on
crew.
The Pleasure Palace. And then having the Black Sheep be co-piloted by Gamzees.
By Gamzees, yes.
Okay. That's our best bet until we
So,
get more troublemakers.
It means you're
Yeah.
going to have to protect the Pleasure Palace because it is a vulnerable ship, but
I mean, most of the time it's going to fly away from us when combat starts.
I assume so.
Wait, hold on a second. I actually do have a point. So on the point of getting more troublemakers, there's a quick term solution. Because I believe in my studies, I heard rumors about someone who possessed unique abilities. Correct?
Yes. When you were looking into the criminal records, you came across some reports of somebody burning down several taverns in Mulland, and it seems like a person matching that description or a similar description has cropped up in Crystal Harbor, which is up north in the Wildlands.
Okay.
Guys, we're gonna have so many crew. I'm doing the rough count, and I'm already over 100.
Yeah, we have a lot of people under our banner.
So this
and
idea I
Remember
had,
what the crew changed, that it's divided by 10.
Yeah, no. The Storm Stinger requires 85.
Yeah. Galleons,
and
man.
it carries 20. We're gonna probably have almost maxed out crew on or passenger on everything, so that when we take ships, we can take them with us.
Put people on them. Yeah.
So
I mean,
so
you can fly a ship with a skeleton crew. It's just you can't do
Fight with it.
anything
Well,
else.
but they're gonna be the skeleton crew on the other ship.
Yeah, exactly. We'll probably end up skeleton crewing Lord Austinwall's Revenge or some shit, too.
So, okay, food is no longer listed on the PDF.
That's true. I forgot about that.
So
let me open up the old
500
one.
for 4 people.
Let me double check. That sounds.
Otherwise, I will.
No,
probably
it's
do that
50 gold for a ton,
Oh.
and a ton I think is a ton is 4 characters. So 50.
I mean, that's
Hmm?
Alright.
trying to think.
How many crew do you have?
I'm going to, off the top of my head, quick math, say at least 160.
Okay, so the simple way would be to divide that number by 4, and then get that many tons. So 40 tons. You need 40 tons of food.
So like 2,000-ish gold.
That would be correct. 40 times 50 should equal 2,000, unless I'm really bad at math, which I am, but...
So I'm just going to drop that gold now, and we'll actually check this math later.
Yeah, I mean, you're gonna end up expending that
Yeah,
in
so
a couple days, and then you'll have a full month to get a hold of some more money.
well, the money's not the problem.
Okay.
You know what? I'm just going to put 2 months worth in.
Let's see. And what's your slowest ship now? I think the Stormsinger, probably.
Yeah, and it's got a speed boost, so it's not even that slow.
So it's 10, and Lord Austinwald's is 18.
18. Yeah.
It's currently listed as 18, but that seems incorrect.
That's a locust.
Oh.
Oh, because locusts are insane. That's right.
Okay. So, yeah.
Jesus.
The idea
Okay, so
I have
10.
is for the Pleasure Palace, we make it a fishing ship. Just a small fishing ship with the goal to just get food.
That's an idea. That's an
And
idea you
then-
could look into.
Because otherwise it's... So that's why I wanted to get the captain. I wanted to have the guy with the hook hire him to literally be a fisherman in a pirate fleet.
It's just him and Roderick sitting on this boat while this old guy fishes, Roderick fishes, and this old guy's like, "Now, let me tell you about this one time. We were flying over Arden, and we took flak fire from the Imperials." Now,
Exactly.
I wasn't on the deck because I was busy getting frisky with the crab barrel.
Yeah.
On account of the drinking I'd done the night before.
Wait, hold on. Taking fire from the Imperials? What kind of fisherman is this?
The kind of fisherman we want on our ship.
You know what? I like this idea so much. Absolutely. We're gonna like write in. So Constance, it's like sitting and listening to the stories of that old lady in Majora's Mask. In the hotel. Constance sat and listened to this guy's stories long enough that he was like, "Oh yeah, you're okay, you're cool." And so Constance was like, "Would you like to come with us? I'll pay you and you won't have to shoot people." And yeah, now he's boring Roderick's brain out of his skull.
Yeah, we feel like I think we might have to like swap
He might have
out
a whole crew around him, like, because
like a fully crewed pleasure
Yeah,
palace.
because the Pleasure
Rude.
Palace can hold like, what is it, 5 people?
5 extra people. So,
Oh.
yeah, there's 6 people on the boat total. One person's, flying it around, and then 5 people are like throwing nets off the side, trying to catch birds.
Yeah,
Flying
yeah. So
fish?
sky fishing is essentially trawling with nets for birds, which interestingly is slightly easier if you think about it than fishing in water because you can see birds and you can't see fish in the ocean. And a little bit of like harpooning and that kind of stuff.
I'm just gonna assume that in this world, there's enough birds that sky fishing is actually useful.
Yeah. Just given the sheer number of... Let me have some bullshit pseudoscience for a moment. Given the sheer number of locations that are difficult to get to by non-flying creatures, just like floating islands, or even like floating things above land, it would make sense that it would be easier for flying creatures to survive and breed and boom. So
Yeah.
yes. There is, of course, normal fishing in places where there's a significant amount of water, like the lakes in Mulland, but but overall, sky fishing is more common just because there are so many birds. This also means cleaning your cities is a pain in the ass. So
Those are everywhere.
you can... What we were doing before was taking your movement rate and then saying you fly about 8 hours a day.
So about 80.
That's 80 miles a day.
So about, what was that, 6-7 days?
If you're flying, it depends where you're flying. Are you flying to Mulland? Are you flying like over here? Are you flying to the Draconic Isles? Like where are you going? Or are you going to Crystal Harbor to track down
I think that
this guy?
So
detour is Crystal Isles.
Crystal Harbor? Crystal Harbor is literally in the opposite direction. It's going closer to Molokai, which could be a good thing or it could be a bad thing. It's your call.
He wouldn't expect it, that's to say the least.
Yeah. Essentially, I guess thinking about it strategically, like thinking about what pieces the Empire has on the board. Dun Simic is like occupied territory, but it's, you know, it's already established territory, so they have less of a presence, except of course in Dun Simic, where you guys just caused a shitload of trouble. The Empire itself, or I guess mainland Empire, Mulland, not the safest, of course, because it's the seat of the Empire. However, the Wildlands are an active war zone right now.
Yeah, I mean, I think the idea would be to slip into Crystal Harbor, grab this one fucker, and then slip out.
And then the Draconic Isles are full of dragons that will eat you.
Yeah.
Only if we make them really mad.
Yeah.
Only if they notice you're there.
Yeah. There was also the look around sanctuary for where the dude was before, and see if that gives more hints.
First Mate McKellar, or
yeah.
Okay.
See track that down.
So I do want to get this troublemaker guy. Having another captain would be good, assuming he is a troublemaker. Assuming we can get him. Assuming we aren't just being led on.
Or he's just, you know, the opposite of a troublemaker.
Oh, God.
I mean, so, full disclosure, all pieces, like, cards on the table, we figured out all this stuff that happened in those 90 days by using the Unearthed Arcana downtime rules, and Crispy got 2 complications. So that's how he gathered information about some stuff that we haven't talked about yet, and possible troublemaker. So it is entirely possible that it's a trap and it leads you to a lawmaker.
It's entirely possible that comes up if we go to the Draconic Isles as well. So really what we're looking at...
I mean, Top Hat didn't get any complications.
I did fine on my rolls.
Alright, I mean, I guess. Wait, hold on. I have the perfect thing to do, and this will introduce our new subsystem that we just put into the game. Alright, hold on a second.
Is it called the Fuck the DM system?
I mean, yes. All this, lore.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so The Unearthed Arcana downtime rules are a little fuzzy because, you know, they're playtest rules, they're beta rules. But one of the options that are presented in that document is to allow people to, when they're researching information or trying to gather information, instead of getting information directly from the GM right then when they do it, to get essentially a token, sort of like inspiration, that they can spend to know stuff later. And Crispy chose to do that. I think Top Hat also has some.
Oh yeah, I have a bunch of them.
So yes, you could absolutely spend a point here to ask me a question.
Okay. I'm gonna go ahead and throw down a question. Wait, hold on. Do I want to do that?
I mean, I've got like 6.
Oh, okay. Is this Bard personal lawmaker? Does it match the description of any of the like lieutenants or generals of the Empire?
The description does not match any notable people that you know from your time in the Empire.
Okay.
And we can say that like maybe while you're doing research you double checked like some stolen recruitment logs or whatever.
Yeah.
And this does not match the description of anyone that you know of.
Okay.
That doesn't completely rule it out, but it makes it significantly less likely.
Okay.
God, there's so many things I want to get done.
So the best thing to do is say game time isn't real. Real time isn't game time, and just start doing shit.
Yeah. However, we've been going for about an hour, and we're kind of stuck on those decisions. So I think now is a wonderful time for us to take our first and only break. And we'll be back in a couple minutes while these two figure out their stuff and I get more water. So back in just a little bit. See you there.